Welcome to Driven, the Unscripted Success podcast, with your hosts, Mike Menino and Nariman Hamden, bringing you insights and stories on achieving personal, professional, and financial success.
Hi, everybody. It's Michael Menino, and welcome to Driven Unscripted Success podcast. Today on the podcast, we're interviewing professionals who share their experience with you, the audience, on how they got to where they're at today. And zooming from the beautiful islands of Naples, Florida, we have Rosanna. How you doing, young lady?
I'm good, thank you.
Good. Well, you're saying good, but we're talking off screen about what you're going through, and it's not good. So do me a quick favor. Tell everybody about yourself and how, where you're at, what you do, and how you got to where you're at.
So I am actually in Lake Mary at the moment. As I mentioned earlier, me and my dad are bouncing back and forth between Naples and Lake Mary. I have spent my entire career in technology, which is really interesting because I actually have all my degrees in communication. Which, works both ways, right? I mean, you need to use really good communication skills to be in technology so that you can actually communicate well with your business and your tech people. So it's very funny that people are just like, oh, you're in technology, you must really know how to work computers. I was like, no, I actually don't. I don't love working on computers, but I love problem solving. Really good at problem solving, really good at being able to bridge gaps, talking to our business people, to our tech people, so that we can finally get what everybody needs.
There you go. And communication. Well, the communication degree, I've got somebody that works with me that has a communication degree. And that is across industry, probably the most important skill you could have.
I would agree, because it is applicable no matter where you go, what industry. It does not matter. If you can communicate effectively, you can be successful, I think, in anything.
I agree with you wholeheartedly. My daughter taught me something about communication, and it really blows my mind when she showed me. She explained what communication is, and I'm like, what are you talking about? And she goes, you have a 3x5 card in your head of a chair. When I say chair, you put a 3x5 card with a chair on it. Your chair is different than my chair. I might have buttons on it. I might have 3 legs, something cool and different. And it might have, wood, and yours might have, it might be a different color, might have,
might be metal
material instead of metal. And I got wood, so the communication is to get the chair painted in both 3x5 cards correctly.
Yep.
But once I understood that, I was like, oh, that's brilliant. And in every industry, in building, we do multifamily, and having a clear plan to what you do when you buy a property, what you plan on doing with it, and, how you exit it. It's everything.
Absolutely.
What tech are you in? What, if you can talk about it?
I'm in, so I work for a bank, so financial technology. But I'm more on the operations side. So currently I support our legal department, and I have applications that I help them implement. And for me to do that sounds easy, right? No, we have lots of rules, lots of regulations, lots of compliance, lots of review,
security, lots
approval,
security.
Yes. So I've done both physical security and cybersecurity and data security, like data privacy kind of stuff. So I've had the opportunity to really kind of touch all of the different areas, which is something I loved about how I've managed to navigate my career. So while I have not worked in a multitude of companies, because I tend to be one of those people that stays at a company for 3, 5, 7, 9, whatever years. So I really get a chance to kind of work around and meet all the different areas. And it helps me build a big picture. So when I get put into any position, they're like, hey, can you work on this? I can already connect a bunch of the dots that help make it make sense, both for the business and for our tech people.
And it's probably better for the company for you to know all that. Yes. All facets of the business, because you're probably the go-to person in that business.
I am often labeled the jack of all trades, because they can put me pretty much anywhere and I'll be like, oh, Oh yeah, I've had experience with that. So I have somebody here I know who to talk to about this thing, and then I can start connecting the dots of who we need to talk to get this thing done.
Right. Yeah, that's good. That's really good. That's actually fantastic. Um, there's a lot of there's a lot of banks out there, a lot of competition in what you do. What kind of sets you apart? You kind of probably touched on it.
For me,
Your ability, yeah, you personally.
I think it's my drive to learn something new. So every year I try to either go someplace new or learn something new. So on my resume, and I don't put all of the things that I've done, but I have earned my black belt in mixed martial arts, and I continue to do a little bit of that. Right now, I do more Tai Chi because I don't do I love Brazilian Jiu Jitsu because I feel like it's almost like chess. Though I don't really know how to play chess, I do like the fact that you can think about your next move before you actually have to execute because you just have to hold the position while you think it through, which I like. Whereas kickboxing, you have to be reactive. Something comes at you, you have to figure out which way you're moving and what's your next move. Um, as I said before, I'm also a volunteer EMT. I did that for almost 10
God love
years.
you, your hero for a living. That's a tough one.
Well, I do feel that it's so easy to throw money at something, but to give of yourself, to give your time, I think is so much more valuable, right? We all have something in us that we can share. So when you can share that light with other people, like you don't know what difference you could make. And so for me, having been on the ambulance, like I'm all about you for 30 minutes. I will do whatever you need. I will make sure I get you. I will get all the information. I will make you feel calm. I will transfer her and be like, all right, what are we doing for dinner? And we would have just met, some bloody mess, whatever. And I'm just like, so
Not everybody can do that.
no, not everybody can. But,
And
this is the kind of stuff I love to do.
good. And
Um,
you're sharing your gift. That's very important.
And again, last year I became a certified spiritual life coach. Again, this
Nice.
was just a way for me to pull something else together where I can have a few more tools to actually share that gift in a way that makes sense with other people. So, how have I applied that to work? I'm also the well-being champion for our department. So I have two 15-minute breaks built in every month, one at 8 in the morning and one at 2 in the afternoon. So that grabs everybody globally, gives them some sense of an opportunity to join. We'll talk about breathing, a meditation, something you don't need any equipment for, but it's a nice way to kind of bake that into the workday because working in corporate, that's tough. It's tough to do that.
It is. I agree wholeheartedly. And you're talking about breathing. I'm also a martial artist. I'm a fifth degree black belt, and
I saw that.
I got back from the U.S. Open 2 weeks ago, and we do a lot of breathing. Breathing is very important. People don't understand how important breathing is. And
Mm-hmm.
someone said this to me. It kind of blew my mind. It's the first thing you do in this world. It's the last thing you do in this world, and
Mm-hmm.
nobody ever taught you how to do it. I was like,
They don't. They don't. There's really such a technique to
yes,
breathing
I
and
agree.
for different things. Like again, we don't realize how much our breath affects everything we do.
Well, you do. I do. When you throw a punch, you have to breathe into the punch. You throw
Mm-hmm.
a kick, you have to breathe when you pull it back so you can get the air you need to do the next technique. Yeah, we understand how important breathing is, but not a
Yeah,
lot of people do.
no. And it was so funny. We just did a meditation this morning. We were talking about how important it was to do like the belly breathing and how you really want the air that you breathe to go in through your nose because it warms it up to body temperature, but you also really want that oxygen to hit your lungs so that it can oxygenate the blood that circulates so that it gets to your brain so that you're getting all the nutrients, particularly the glucose that you need for your brain. And when you can breathe properly, that brain fog can lift a little bit.
A lot. I mean, more than most people think. That's the one thing that people don't understand, that there's a breathing technique I utilize when I run. I hate running.
Me too.
I hate cardio. I hate cardio. But you need to
Yes.
do it, right?
Not my favorite.
And then so when I take breaks in between the cardio, I take 30 really deep breaths and let it out a lot.
Mhm.
I'll do a mile, and then I'll take, well, however long it takes me to do 30 intakes, and I exhaust as hard as I can and as much as I can. Then I run for another mile, and then I take the breathe, the 30 in and the 30 out. And that helps out a lot. And people
Yeah.
just don't get it, and there's a bunch of, you know how many people tell you to do it and nobody does it. It's really kind of crazy.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
what do you do for your company when they those 15 minutes? You do breathing exercises?
Yeah, so we actually have somebody who's contracted by the bank, and I sent her the schedule at the end of the year because I will have already figured out the schedule for the full year. I'm like, do
Mhm.
these days work? These are the times, and she'll put it out on her schedule. And then she and I will of course talk ahead of time. So we're doing breathing stuff, we're doing some imagery stuff, we're doing all kinds of different things. And again, it's only for 15 minutes, so there are always these little short bursts of stuff that is, plantable. It's easy to do. And then, people will take what they will, be what they don't want. And, we hope that
It's
at
life,
some
isn't it?
point,
You take what works for you, and doesn't work for you, don't discard. But the breathing though, that's huge, because what it does is, you ever been in a stressful situation, and breathing calms your mind. If you're in a stressful situation, if you're in a dangerous situation
yes.
and you breathe, if you're in a typically if people are in stressful situations, depending on the level of stress, you can lose 20 IQ points. Oh, 20 IQ points. And if you breathe, you get those 20 IQ points back.
Yep.
Does help you just mentally,
Yes.
then physically. So there's a
Yeah.
lot to it. I agree with you wholeheartedly. It's nice that the bank's allowing you to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's kind of one of the things I love about the company I'm at is that there is this whole well-being pillar that is important, and I've heard that there are companies or people who are looking when they go to interview for that kind of stuff. And if they don't have it, they're a little like, that could be the tipping point of whether I actually accept a role or not,
Right.
which
There you
I
go.
think makes sense, right? Because life cannot be just about work. It's a good part of it, but there really has to be a balance, right? Like the fact that I have to care for my dad, I'm a caregiver.
Mhm.
I need to be able to know that I have the flexibility to do the work I need to do, but also have the flexibility like, hey, if I need to take him to a doctor's appointment, I'm not going to get penalized for that. Right.
Makes
So
sense.
that
Yep.
becomes a really important component of my work life. If I was to consider any role, that's going to be something that I'm going to consider.
Understandable. And other people will too.
Yeah. Yeah.
So do me a favor. Tell me about a little bit of your one of your biggest challenges, and how did you overcome it in your career, or personal? Could be either or.
So I think one of the biggest challenges I have had is probably trusting myself well enough to actually execute, right? I've had a lot of experiences, and sometimes I underestimate what I can do, but what I typically will do is I will breathe myself through it and then talk myself off the ledge and be like, listen, nobody's dying. You're going to figure this out and you're going to try. And more often than not, if I take that approach, the solution will come, or I will find somebody who can help me get that solution. But in that moment, it's probably one of the hardest things for me to do. Now, sometimes I have run into situations, being a woman, being a minority in a very male dominated industry, that has not always worked so well, where I've had people who underestimate me and they think, oh,
Awesome. I love it
I
when I'm
can just
underestimated.
I can just railroad her. And I'm like,
No, you can't.
no, we're not going to play that game. Thank you.
I love it when they underestimate me, though. I don't know about you, but I absolutely love it.
It is fun. And I
It is.
don't do it in a mean way, right? But what I
Right.
do is I document everything. Every meeting I hold, I will write meeting minutes to. I write the date, who attended, what the key takeaways or action items are, and what the key items were that we discussed. Right. And I will send that out
Do you
usually within the
do you
first
use
24 hours.
do you use AI? Like with Zoom meetings, they always have AI companion, and that documents everything out.
No. So we're starting to get more into AI, but this is something I do I will write notes and then I'll transpose it. For me, that just works because that's how I grew up, right? I'm a really good note taker, right? People
Good.
would copy my notes from college. They'd be like, "You took such good notes. Can I get a copy?"
There
Sure.
you go. There you
And so
go.
I capitalize that, right? And knowing that I can communicate and I know what I wrote and this was my understanding of what we talked about.
Right.
That way, when it comes back and people are just like, "That's not really," because that was the understanding I got. Here are the notes from the last meeting.
And then they see that the evidence is there.
Correct. So that has been one of the challenges that I have faced, and that is something that has been very successful for me.
Good. Awesome. I got a lot of questions to ask you. I'm trying to think of the right one. So here's a question for you. I don't even know how old you are. You might be 21 now. So if you had to go back in time, if you could go back in time to when you're 20 and you knew everything you knew now, what would you do different and what would you do the same?
Ooh. What I would have done different, I think I would have actually taken an opportunity to go work for Anderson Consulting. So what I had done was when I went to school, I actually put myself through school because I was working part-time. I was working 2 or 3 jobs to pay each semester, and then I was living at home. When I had an opportunity to work for the university, that took the burden off of my parents to have to pay tuition because now I could pay for tuition as it was part of my benefits for working for the school.
Awesome. You did work for them for a while?
What's that?
You did work for them for a while?
Yeah. I worked for NYU for several
Oh,
years. So that's how I got my bachelor's and my master's.
nice.
So my parents really didn't have to pay for school, and I came out of
Good
school
on you.
with debt. I'm
That's
scrappy
awesome.
that way.
And you said now what would you do different? You'd work there longer?
I
You'd
think
still
I
work
would
there?
have taken the opportunity to work for Anderson Consulting because there was a time where I don't know how it came about, but I was working for the university. I must have met a recruiter because I was working for the business school.
Mhm.
And I must have met one of the recruiters during one of those recruitment whatchamacallits. I ran the computer lab, so I ran into a lot of the students and I was in the buildings where they would hold these meetings and stuff. And somehow I met this guy and he interviewed me, and I chose not to leave the university to go work there because I was afraid that I would not finish my education. And I felt it was really important for me to have my degree. And
Mhm.
so I turned down the opportunity to work there. Now, he assured me that I could have worked and gone to school, but I was like, I don't know if I'm going to have that discipline. But now, knowing what I know today and that I
You
could,
do have the discipline.
right, I would have absolutely made the move to do that.
Okay, now the second part too is what would you do the same?
Well, I would still have gotten myself a job at the university and paid my way through school.
Yeah, that's a no-brainer.
Yeah,
That is
that
really
was
just
one
a
of them.
no-brainer.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, I went to school and I couldn't pick a major and they kept hounding me. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? And for me it was difficult because I was like, what are you going to do for the rest of your life? And I was like, ah. So
I know.
I got out and then I got into construction and then I loved it. And I started my own company, started several companies, building houses, building apartment complexes. And I just loved it. I wish I would have known about a constructional engineering degree before I started school, because then I could have said I want to do this. But until I
Right.
seen, feel, and touched it, I wouldn't have thought that's what I loved.
Yeah. Yeah. I think because I couldn't decide on a major, I went
Mhm.
with communication because it
Yeah,
would
but that's a better
be
call. I mean,
the biggest.
it's going to work. It work in construction, building, multifamily. It works in every industry,
Yeah.
and yeah, maybe I should have done that too. But construction I fell into and I loved, so it was a big difference. There's something about when you get done with the end of the day and you see something you did.
Yes.
We built a mantle, or we built a house. We built a house in a day. We built a house in 6 days.
That's
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah, it was crazy. I wouldn't recommend it to anybody. It was tough. It was very difficult.
I imagine so. I just got a reno done within 3 weeks. Floors, all
Nice.
painted,
Oh,
knockdown ceiling taken down, cabinets pulled out, new cabinets put in, quartz countertop, brand new appliances, all done. I don't know how
nice.
I did it. Everybody's been super impressed. They're just like, well, I don't know. They're like, nobody, it usually takes about 12 weeks, 12 to 16 weeks to do a renovation like that. Now,
Hmm.
granted, the house is small. It's only like 1,225 square feet.
That's still a
But
good
I was
size.
very laser focused. I'm like, this is what I want. I'm going to order this. You tell me what I need to get. I will have it on site. We will do this. And then I put everybody into a group chat. I was like, guys, here's the schedule as I understand it. You tell me if anything needs to move.
Hmm. There you go. Good job. Very good job. Um, I think you're going to answer my next question right now. Sounds like things are going pretty well for you. Have you, or what would you do to consider creating passive income?
Passive income.
Hmm.
So, oddly enough, I have thought about doing something like podcasts and making potentially speaking engagements for the life coaching mentorship portion of the things that I really love to do. Because I think,
What would the coaching in?
sorry, what's that?
What would be the focus of your coaching?
Um, Probably would be some of my life experiences about being an Asian American, because I think culturally it's so different from the American culture. And then, there's this whole thought process of like, so my mom is Filipino, my dad is Chinese, and I was born here in America. So trying to bridge the gap between the three can be really, really hard to do. And now that there's probably a whole generation of people who are very similar, and I found this at NYU because this is what I did my master's on. That was my master's thesis, was to write a book about this. And now that I've learned more and been through sort of the corporate culture for the evolution of what it's been from the 90s till now,
Right.
there's so many lessons I could share to make it easier for other people to navigate, the corporate industry.
Hmm. You just mentioned they're Filipino and Chinese. Aren't the Chinese and Philippines having a cultural, I don't know how to put this, there's a little tense over there, or
Yes. Yes.
yeah, so you're in both sides, and that's got to be tough.
Yeah, it's been interesting. It's been interesting. I mean, I've been to the Philippines, I've been to Hong Kong. I haven't been there recently.
Hmm.
I don't know how bad it is. I was in Hong Kong before it went back to China. It was still a um, um, part of the UK, I guess,
Okay.
before it was reverted anyway. And then I was in the Philippines probably 10 to 15 years ago. So I think it's changed quite a bit. And then now with our just whatever with what is happening here, there's a lot of expatriates going out there, and we have family and stuff like that. So I imagine it's very different now. I'm interested to know what it's like just to be in that space now.
I have a person that works with us that's in the Philippines right now, and she's we had this weird conversation, and there was a spy that said, everyday spy was telling how America is a bully in the countries, and he goes, "We need bullies. It keeps all the other ones in line." And then I was talking to my friend, and I said, She's in the Philippines. And I said, if America wasn't a bully, what would be going on right now between you and China? And she goes, we'd probably be fighting for it right now. But America's bulliness is a horrible way to say this, but it's keeping other people in line, which I thought was weird. Weird dynamic on that. It's a weird concept for me. We need bullies. I was like, that's weird.
I guess it's kind of like the cycle of life, though, right?
How so?
Well, so you have different predators, which will always prey on something smaller than it, right? Because if there's only one, then what happens, right? There's no continuity. There's no way of allowing for the evolution to occur.
Very good point. Very good point. Very, very, very good point. Yes, exactly. Like, so if all the predators weren't never looking over their back, you got to look over your back once in a while, and there has to be another predator to look over your back for. That's a very good point. I like that. Well, listen, we're wrapping up this interview. Thank you very much. What do you got planned for the next 6 to 12 months? What do you got on the horizon? What's your game plan now? I know you've got a lot of personal stuff too, which is hard.
So I think for the next 6 to 12 months, it's really going to be focusing on getting me and Dad settled here in Lake Mary, really figuring out what the next step is there, and then seeing what I can do kind of on the side with regard to the life coaching stuff, because again, that's the thing I'm passionate about. I love that I'm allowed to integrate it into my workplace. So if there's a way for me to kind of do both, I would love to do that. But I do think somewhere down the road, it's going to be more of the life coaching stuff.
Nice. Beautiful. Well, listen, thank you very much for being on the podcast. If anybody wants to contact you and get in touch with you about life coaching, how would they do that?
Well, I do have an Instagram tag. It's at @RRosieism. You can feel free to
RRosieism? It's pretty good. I like that.
You can reach out to me there and we can connect. I have a website. It needs cleaning up, so I haven't quite gotten there yet. But it will be available.
What's going to be the name of it? So when it comes up, we can, because this will take about a few weeks to get out there. You might be able to get up in time.
So the website is rosieism.com.
Gotcha. Beautiful. All right. Well, listen, if anybody wants to contact her, please let her know. And thank you very much for being on. We really do appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me. This was great.
Thanks for listening to Driven, the Unscripted Success Podcast. Want to share your story? Apply to be a guest at drivensuccesspodcast.com/guest.